Hey yo, good afternoon.
Hey, good to see everyone. Good afternoon, Panayoti. Hope you're well.
Hello,
Richard, what's up?
what's happening?
Good, good, good. Let's dive right in and we'll do Q&A as well as always. But essentially today we're gonna chat about health discovery. I see so many people making this fatal mistake when they're selling. They are product pushers, right? We have a product, and when we're going through a conversation with our prospects, regardless if we're cold calling, we're cold DMing, or they came to us, the prospect unveils a problem, and our spidey senses go ting, and we start pitching and trying to persuade. Instead, it's not the way to do it. Like, this is only going to trigger resistance in their mind, and it's just going to make our job much, much harder. A better way to approach things, and if we want to succeed in 2024, especially as the marketplace gets even more and more sophisticated, in the post, trust era with AI coming into the frame, all the information available is online. Like, where does that leave the average sales professional or the average entrepreneur trying to sell something? It leaves us in a place where when the prospect gives us a problem, it's no longer enough for them to have a problem to buy, because they have so many solutions out there that it's going to be very hard for us just from one problem to convince them to buy. And that's where we have to go from just active listening and all that wonderful stuff and hearing one problem to actually finding problems and helping them realize what's really at stake when they're not solving those problems. So as we're diving into health discovery, it's a key phase in our 9-box stealth conversions methodology. It's right after present reality. So once we start to get the prospect to open up about their situation, and that can be what do they have in place right now in comparison to what you're selling. We want to help them tap what we call, here's some noise, let me mute some people. We want to tap into what we call health discovery. So in this phase, we're looking for 4 pieces of information here. What is the problem people have? What is causing their problem? Because when we help them find the root cause of their problem, what does it make us in their eyes? When I'm able to show them that I understand and I help them realize the root of those problems, what am I in their eyes? I am a trusted advisor, right? Because I'm delivering an insight by helping them realize where are these problems coming from. Another point that I need is, how long has this been a problem? How long have you had that problem? How long have you been suffering from it? How often does it occur? And number 4, what impact is that problem having in terms of their professional life, in terms of the personal life, or both? Now, how do we enter that health discovery? How do we enter this phase where we get a prospect to start opening up about our problems? Most people, they just say, okay, what's the biggest challenge that you have right now? Big red flag, right? We can't ask someone 5 minutes into the conversation, 2 minutes into the conversation, okay, tell me, what's the biggest challenge that you have right now? It's going to be very hard to get the truth at that point. Most prospects, they will give you a surface level answer. We might have a little problem with this, but we're fine. When you're hearing things like that, it's because you're asking questions that trigger sales resistance and don't allow the prospect to really open up to put the truth on the table. They don't feel comfortable yet, and you haven't earned the right, the trust required for the prospect to open up to you. So what question can we ask to get the prospect to open up about their problems, but at the same time, make it in a way that doesn't trigger sales resistance? We're going to use this question. We're going to ask them, how satisfied are you with what you have in place? How satisfied are you with your sales process? How satisfied are you with the way that you're generating leads? That allows them to, that allows us to understand, okay, what's the temperature around their problem? Like, do they feel happy about their situation? Are they not satisfied about their situation? And the reality is, no one is 100% satisfied with what they have in place. That's why they're talking to us. But the key piece is we're asking it that way to get the answer, to lead them into the answer that they want, opening up about their problems, but without triggering resistance. So when we ask them, how satisfied are you with your current sales process? Or depends, of course, on what you're selling, you're going to ask the relevant question, and we can brainstorm together. But questions like this, they open the emotional door. So you start to get the prospect to think with their emotions, their unpacking, because they cannot give you a logical-based, a rational answer, a metrics-driven answer when you ask them, how satisfied are you? So you will clearly be able to understand, okay, how do they feel about it? Are they 100% happy? Is there something that they don't like? And once you uncover that, you can probe and you can clarify deeper, and we're going to look at exactly how. Then let's look at a few more questions that we can start asking. So during health discovery, we can ask them, so what would you change about your situation if you could? They're going to give us something, and I'm going to ask, why would you change that though? You see, health discovery, it's not about, as we discussed, unpacking one problem. It's also getting them to defend that problem. And when we get a lot of closed off prospects, instead of trying to peer them open with a crowbar, you have to push them away to get them to open up. An example of something like this would be if I ask them, what would you change about your situation if you could? And they answer, well, we're doing pretty well, but maybe we could use more leads. In that case, we have a prospect that's tough to open, right? They're giving you very conditional language. Maybe we could use some help with this. So we need more commitment to those answers. So what would I do? I would ask them, well, it doesn't sound like it's too much of a big deal. Like, is it even impacting you guys? And I'm going to use a more skeptical tone. What is that going to trigger to the prospect? I'm pulling away, so I will bring them towards me. They're going to start opening up because now they want to defend their problem. Instead of trying to overplay their problem, I downplayed it, and now they have to defend it, right? Well, it's impacting us because this happens and this happens and this happens. Let's look at a few more questions. Depends on what you're selling. Of course, you can ask, what areas do you want to improve if you could? I can also ask them, can you tell me what your biggest priorities are for this year within this sector? So again, instead of using language like problems, or if you could wave a magic wand, what problem would you fix? Like, all of this is salesy language from the 80s that is now no longer relevant. Like, you won't get the truth. Instead, when you start using language as in, what's your biggest priority or what's your focus for 2024, you will get a surface level answer, but it allows you to go deeper because you're getting closer to the truth. What happens if they don't open up at all, though? Like, what happens if you ask them, how satisfied are you with your current process? And they give you, well, everything's great. Then I will say, well, it sounds like things are going fairly well with what you have in place. Is there anything that you would change? if you could. Or if they feel even more closed off, then I can feed them some problems without saying that they have those problems, but I'm alluding to them to give them some direction. So I would say, well, it sounds like things are going fairly well with what you're doing. Is there anything that you would change around maybe your process or the results you're getting from that process if you could? Let's open it up for some questions because I want to make sure this first part is foundational to at least get some problems on the table, and we will then explore how do we intensify those problems. Richard,
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
So if I downplayed it, it really does not sound like this pain is not a big deal. If
Yeah.
you could, and then what's the next one? If you could change it, or what's the next question? It really doesn't sound like this is a big deal. And then what do you say then?
I would ask them, yeah, it doesn't sound like it's a big deal. Like, how's that impacting you?
How's this impact? Yeah, because you
That's,
get a lot of, I call them minimizers. You call them something else, but I call them minimizers. But it's the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah. Like, if you have a minimizer, what I don't want to do, for example, they say, sometimes my back hurts, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Most people would say, oh no, well, if it's your back, your knee can start hurting and there is this, and now I'm the bad guy.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to introduce problems where they don't exist in their mind.
Right. So they all come in, it bothers me, then I'll say, well, it really doesn't sound like this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And then how's this impacting you?
Yeah, it sounds like this is not a big deal at all. I mean, if it just happens sometimes, like is it even impacting you at all?
Then they do say, well, I
Yeah.
can't,
I
they
mean,
can't sleep, they can't this, they can't that. And then you go right into how much is this costing you with
no,
energy?
I would say, well, I can't sleep. I mean, that could be trouble for some people. Like, how's that making you feel that you not being able to sleep because of that problem?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna start peeling back the layers and getting them to open up. But when they refuse to open up, I'm gonna do it from a skeptical point of view
Yeah.
so they can defend their problems.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions before we continue? Cool. So
one
yeah,
1 second, if I may.
yeah,
Again, I'm gonna take it to my biggest, let's say, problem so far, being that yes, currently we're really satisfied. We've been cooperating with X Bank for past 20 years. Seems everything is good. Plus, your bank is not really popular. People don't have it, so I'm gonna have to make payments and receive payments by extra cost and
yeah,
also huge
and you could.
delays.
Yeah, and you could. May I ask, is working with the most popular bank out there the most important factor for you,
Hmm.
or getting the best rates so you can grow your business? Like, which is more important for you? Because I'll tell you, we're not the most famous. We're not gonna have, Saki Ruva in our concerts or annual retreats. Like, I'll be the first to tell you that.
Yeah. Well, what if they say it's I'm like we got used to it. It is comfortable, so we don't need to have a new, let's say, bank implemented into our processes.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that you should.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that you should. What I'm asking is there anything that you would change based on the relationship with your current bank, like your rates or how fast you're getting in the cash in, if you could?
Hmm.
What am I doing?
You're trying to essentially scratch off the surface in order to uncover potential problems they might have with their current process.
But it's not just that though. Like I'm pushing them away because they're not answering my question.
Okay.
And that's a triggered objection. We have to realize, and we discussed this before, like when they say we don't need your stuff, that's triggered. It comes from, do you want my stuff? No, I don't need my stuff. I don't need your stuff. So it's kind of like a preemptive objection that we trigger because you haven't made an offer yet, right? Like they don't know what you offer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a triggered objection. Like they feel that they will be sold something. It's my job to show them that, whoa. Like if you're expecting to get sold here, like you're on page 58 and I'm on page 2. I don't even know if I can help. Does that
Okay,
make
good.
sense?
Yeah. So
But
essentially,
we have to communicate that with your stance. It's not just, we talk to talk. Like I have to communicate that with my energy and the way I approach the meeting.
so change the mindset from I'm trying to sell you to I'm trying to see if there's anything that I can provide to you.
Exactly. Like a lot of people, like this is where the trap a lot of people fall into. They're like, let's crush the day, assume the sale, we're gonna make, we're gonna crush the sales today. Well, hold on. When you enter the conversation with that kind of energy, the other prospect feels it. The other person feels it. So they're hidden behind their armor and a wall of resistance. Instead, see if there's a sale to be made in the first place. Like, does this guy have a problem? Can I help him realize that there is a problem, that he has a problem? Then if I measure the problem, is this problem worth solving? But that's the mindset to approach it. But the reality is, if you have that mindset, it's going to be very rare that you don't find someone who has a problem worth solving. Like it's going to be rare. Are you with me?
Yes.
Can you see how this, can help?
Essentially, it's like you need to try to overcome the already learned, let's say, triggered objections that they have been taught to make from the other salespeople, and stand out by trying to actually evaluate their situation and act like a consultant rather than a sales.
That's the only way to stand apart. Otherwise, you're just another guy in their office, eating up their time, waiting to pitch.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm gonna follow up with another, I think, relevant question, but at the end part with the Q&A that
Okay.
ties with this problem. Thanks.
Cool. So let's look at another trap a lot of people fall into. We have to find the right symptom. What do I mean by that? Growing my business is not a problem. It's not a symptom. I want to lose weight is not a symptom. I need more leads. That's not a symptom. That's not a problem necessarily either, right? Because everyone needs more leads. Everyone wants to grow their business. Everyone wants to lose weight. That problem is so generic that they don't even believe it in their mind, right? Like it's so surface level, they cannot measure the impact that you're going to have when you put the price in front of them, the price of your thing. So if something has been going on for years, that's past pain. And the pain that we've had for years, a past pain, is a pain we tolerate. A lot of people, we know, all of us, people who complain about the relationship and they want to change and so on and so forth, but they stay with the person for another 2, 3, 5 years. Why? Because it's a pain that they tolerate. They're more fearful of change rather than staying with their pain. The reason I'm saying that is if we accept very surface level problems, we're not going to make the sale. Where I make the difference and where I started becoming a problem finder is putting specificity into the equation. So when they tell me something generic, oh yeah, I always want to lose weight. Well, whoa. Like losing weight means different things to different people. Like what does that mean for you specifically? Like let's get specific to see if we can help. If they tell me I need more sales, I can understand that. What are you seeing in the business right now that makes you feel you're not producing enough sales? Well, we had 2 salespeople leave the team last month and now we're hurting. Present pain. Now I found a real pain point that happened in their business recently and they're going to pay money to solve it. But if I don't dig beneath the surface, it means nothing. The problem is so generic that it doesn't even register. I hope it's very clear for everyone because again, if I accept surface level problems, I'm going to get paid surface level money. You are paid commissions, money, salaries, sales in accordance to the problems that you're solving. If I can't solve, if you're selling a $5,000 thing, I have to solve a $50,000 problem for them to pay. Otherwise, it's a no-no. I'll think about it and I'll get back to you. So how do we probe? 3 depths of hell. I've covered this before, but I'll walk you guys through it again because it's super important. So once I do this front-end work, finding the right problem, understanding it, I want to expand the problem. So we found the problem in level 1. Now I want to start clarifying the situation. And what I'll do is I'll ask questions like, how do you mean? Can you unpack it for me? Can you give me an example? It's what I discussed also. That means different things for different people. Like, how does it show up for you though? Or what are you seeing in the business, in your life, that makes you say that? This essentially forces the prospect to give you a more microscopic view of their situation and more a real life example of really what's happening, so they can tell themselves also what's the real problem. And another big thing here is it's kind of like we're introducing, I don't know if you've heard the term, probably you have PTSD, like a lot of soldiers have it, post-traumatic stress disorder. When you're asking questions like this and we're bringing them back into the moment that they experienced pain, we're bringing that painful emotion back in their mind. It's like as if we're inducing a mini PTSD. And that's what they will pay for to solve. Now, once we clarify the problem, we want to expand, we want to raise the emotional temperature. So, how do we do that? Why do we do that, first of all? Like the prospect tells themselves how long, how frequent this has been happening. It also digs into the cause of that, and it can lead into a new problem, into an aha moment. And you can attack this with frequency or depth. So what do I mean by that? So if they give me a problem as in, my back hurts and I can't sleep, I can ask them, how often does that happen? It happens 3 times a week. I can also ask them, how long has it been going on for? For 3 months. Another question to find the root cause. Why do you suppose it's happening? Because I haven't been working out. I haven't been doing stretches. What do you feel is the reason for this? I work a 9 to 5, I drive trucks, and I sit a lot. So this is how we put dimension into the problem. We're expanding it. We're taking a $50 problem and we're making it a $500 problem. Because, again, frequency, it happens often, and also depth, it happens for an extended period of time. There's a magical thing that's happening when someone tells me, I'm getting objections. I lost 2 sales yesterday, and I asked them, okay, how often does that happen? 5 times a week. Now it's 10 sales. Okay, and how many weeks have you been getting these objections? 4. And now we have 40 sales missed. But if I don't ask them those questions and I start pitching, the only problem that I will solve is 10 sales, when in reality, he's been losing sales for 3 months. The final step is I want to create the impact. And this is where we're switching the conversation from the rational mind to the emotional mind again. What that does is it magnifies the impact of that problem and it makes them aware of ramifications happening right now. So the question I will ask them is, okay, so it sounds like you've been missing sales for 5 months. What type of impact does that have on you? Or I can ask them, how's that impacting your revenue? Oh, I've missed out on 10,000 in new revenue so far. Okay, and I don't want to make any assumptions. Is that having an impact in your relationship, dealing with all that rejection? Well, yeah, I'm always pissed off because I'm getting no's, and then I don't have the energy to go out with my wife, whatever. But again, all of these things are things that I realized after I asked them these questions. And I have some additional ones. What do you feel you've been missing out on? In terms of, I can intensify the urgency. Why is that important for you now, though? And I can receive a critical event, something that's happened recently. And I can also help them explore, again, the more emotional aspect. I don't want to make any assumptions. How's that making you feel, receiving all that rejection for 3 months now? Well, I feel like a failure because of this, because of that, because of that. Now we went from, again, $50 problem, $500 problem by expanding and raising the emotional temperature, to a $5,000 problem because we showed them that it's impacting their business, their health, their relationships. A question in your minds might be, well, do I have to ask them all that? Like, how's that impacting their life? Not necessarily. A simple impact for a business owner can be, she's been missing out on 50,000 in new revenue. How's that impacting the business? He can't hire new team members. Okay, and what happens if you can't hire more team members? Well, we're gonna miss on our growth targets this year, and we're not gonna be able to raise an investment. That impact alone can be enough. I don't need to get hyper emotional and ask them, about their family and everything, but I need to go deeper. That's pretty much it. To summarize, I need to find present symptoms, something that I can see, smell, hear, taste. If I can't see it, it's not a real problem. It's ethereal. It's up in the air. It can be imaginary. I don't know if it's the truth. I need to get visual with it. It's not I need more leads. It's my sales team has 5 left open slots for this week, and we don't know how to fill them. That's visual. Then we clarify. We go below the surface. We expand, we raise the emotional temperature of the problem, and we tap into the impact, the rational and the emotional ramifications. When it comes to the validation, it's pretty simple, but once I find the problem, it's kind of like a reset. So if I go through the process with someone, I find the problem, I start expanding the emotional temperature, I'm getting the impact. And for some reason, it didn't land. Like, I don't feel this problem is big enough. I can simply validate and make sure that this is the right hole to dig in. So I can see in these situations, I can simply say, okay, so it sounds like you could use some possible help with this, or it sounds like you can make some changes there. Is there anything else that you would change if you could? The big difference with asking this question at this point is because I took them through this entire process, I'm much more positioned as an authority, and I have earned enough trust to put the truth on the table. So if there is a secondary problem that's there, it's much easier for them to open up and give it to me. So let's open this up for questions, concerns, doubtful points. And this can be about, what we discussed or anything. Richard, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, buddy. Do you have a slide for that validation? Like that slide? Do you have like the questions? Like just go over the questions on the validation again.
The validation is simple. It's once I find that I haven't had enough impact with one problem, or you could have enough impact, I just want more. I can simply ask, okay, so it sounds like you could use help with this.
Mhm.
Is there anything else that you would change if you could?
Okay. You could get me help with this. What else? What else? Okay.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would change if you could about your situation?
All right. I'm just going to write this down before I forget it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Who's next? Panayoti.
Thanks. So I'm gonna follow up the question that I mentioned before, and this is that I'm starting to get it because I'm let's say pretty new to the team where I work at, and now they are starting to expect more and more from me as results, right? But the thing is that the situation is the kind of environment where I get a lot of negative pressure slash intimidation in order to get results because I don't know why, lack of management skills or I don't know what.
Yeah.
And my question would be, how can you handle that in order to still be good at this process? Because you can clearly understand that if you don't have space to breathe in your work, you cannot actually perform as well as you could have,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just wondering if you have any insights about that.
Yeah, so that's a manager essentially that's telling you X and Y and Z. You
Well,
should perform very well.
I told you like a couple of days ago that I had my first feedback, right? And I was gonna ask for a raise. I followed the conversation. First of all, they were really, let's say, defensive when it came to how I see myself. They were trying to essentially find things to blame me about, like you're complaining, etc., etc. Where I was just trying to clarify what's my added value and my role in the team, right?
Mhm.
And they were trying to mistake that to, let's say, misinterpret and translate it to me being, let's say, complaining. And when I rose at the end of the conversation, the issue of the raise, we were like, my manager was like, "Do you know what's a break-even point?" Yeah, I'm like, "Sure. What do you mean?" And he was like, you're far away from it right now." So the review is on around May, June. So if you have results until then, we're happily open to, let's say, discuss about raise. But also, he follows up and says also because we could be having another kind of conversation until then. And you see where I'm getting. And I got so angry right there, but I was trying to play it, let's say, professionally. And I called him out on that. And I'm saying, look, I know that things are like this in this business. I know I could get fired in 3 months from now, but the way that I'm trying to see is how I can improve and go on and develop instead of just being fearful. And that's how I ended my feedback session. That's pretty
Yeah,
much it.
in this conversation like this, when things get combative, the main point is to stay calmer always than the other side, right? Like there's no reason, there's nothing to gain by being in an adversarial
Exactly.
situation.
Yeah.
But this is where you going into the conversation, instead of us saying, I did this, is okay. So if you were like when they start criticizing you, okay. So if you, Chris, if you were in my shoes, what would you do differently? So put them in your shoes. That's how you create kind of like fake empathy, because they can't be hard on themselves, right? So what would you
And
do in my
actually,
shoes? Oh, I would
and
be calling this. I would be doing that. I would be doing that. Okay, so let's map it out. And let's say I do this, I do this, I do this. What's the
yeah,
exact target that I need to be hitting, for example, if you don't have it planned out?
because actually they also tried to do that to me, right? Like he was like, "What would you do if you were the employer and you got asked for a raise with the results that you're currently having?" And he was like, "Show me right now, until now, what have you done? Like actual results." And he was keep canceling all my efforts up until now, that they are not nothing. I mean, I know they're not up to par, but I'm trying to get there, you know?
Yeah, look, when you have to present them in a way before you ask for the raise. Like you have to present, I bring that to the table. Like, this is how much I've brought in new business. This is how many contacts. This is how many whatever. It sounds like it's not aligned with your expectations. So how can we fix this? It's not just how can we fix this? Like you have to include them
Yeah.
into the conversation,
Okay.
because
And
now it's kind of like it's two worlds. It's the boss and the employee, and it's like perform, and you either have to fight back or say yes. No, include them in. Okay, sit right by them. Okay, help me understand here. What are the exact expectations? Okay, if you were in my shoes, how would you approach this?
yeah, because I get the feeling that they care about is how to bring the results, and they're never interested in actually understanding how we feel and how we can get better.
And it ties into what we discussed today, right? Like all
Mhm.
they see is the surface.
Exactly.
What
They
we
don't
discussed.
care to dig deeper.
But this is where you have to, again, take them through the process and ask, okay, so what are you seeing exactly that makes you feel I'm not bringing results?
Hmm.
You're not hitting your numbers. Okay, why do you feel I'm not hitting my numbers? If I show up every day and I'm calling the leads that you gave me, like, what do you feel is missing here? How can we fix this? And brainstorm together. And you might see that you don't have enough training. They didn't train you, they didn't spend time with you. But again, like you need to ask those questions, like what needs to be true for a new salesperson like me to be hitting those numbers? Be real with me and feel free to fire me as well. I'm here because I want to do this and accomplish this and accomplish this. Like, how can we fix this? Again, collaboration, right?
Yeah, but unfortunately, the thing is that they are not in the mood of doing that. This is my problem, and
Not about mood though. It's you have to be direct with them in a nuanced way, not an aggressive way. Like with your tonality, you have to tone them down,
Mhm.
calm, and you're like, if you want me to be hitting numbers, but
Yeah,
spending time with me would be beneficial. Yes.
yeah, because ironically, the only thing I keep getting as feedback with the kind of questions that you tell me to say is like back in the day, we were like you, we didn't have anything, things were worse than that, and we still was getting results. And we were still getting results. And I'm like, okay, but you never told me how. I mean, you're just telling me that you could do it. How does that help?
But if you say that, again, it's
I
adversarial.
didn't say it, but I'm thinking about it. You see?
Right. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, and you might be better than me at sales, but how can we fix this now so I can perform at the level that you want me to?
Okay, I get you. And my final point, so I don't eat any more of your time, is how to avoid getting frozen when you are getting cornered, either in sales or by your managers, let's say, because I keep coming across that problem a lot. Like I'm not being prepared enough to respond to issues. For example, if a prospect tells me, "No, we're fine like we are right now, thank you," or I feel like they don't give me enough space to, expand the conversation.
You're not going to have enough space. No one's going to give you enough space. I'm
Yeah.
not going to give you enough space on this call.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is you have to be prepared. So
Yeah, but how? This is
it's
what
not a generic, you have to be prepared. Just what do I mean by that? It's you going in front of the mirror and saying, and you playing the other role. So, Panagiotis, why didn't you produce today? Reply on the spot. Come up with what you want to say and be prepared for it. If a prospect says, okay, we're not interested. Yeah, that's no problem. You shouldn't be interested. You have no idea what I'm about to say. Like, to be fair, I don't even know if I can help. Like, if it's appropriate, I'd love to find out a little bit more, see if I can help. Like, you need to have those scripted out, written down, so you're prepared. Like, there is no easy. That comes from experience.
Okay.
And a hack, if you want to buy time, is simply probe into what they say. So how you do that is, oh, whoa, how do you mean? Exactly that. Whatever they say, whoa, how do you mean? So that buys you 5-10 seconds because they're gonna explain what they said. You can also mirror them, like the Chris Voss thing. I'm not in love with it, but because millions now have read that book and it's like, it feels like a tactic, but simple, how do you mean, it's flies under the radar.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank
Let
you.
me take some other questions and we can circle back. Want to make sure that we're ticking all the boxes here. But keep rocking. I appreciate you showing up and wanting to improve.
Thank you very much.
Who else has questions?
Just say thanks because I'm getting a lot of minimizers, and I think that this HAL discovery is going to help me this week.
Yeah, again with the minimizers, a lot of times, like I don't know if you've, pardon the French, I'm sometimes inappropriate. It's kind of like the shit test, right? Like they're testing us.
Yeah.
Because they expect, what do they expect? It's not a big deal. What do they expect us to do? No, it's a big deal and you should fix it. And that's what we are triggered to do. Because at the end of the day, we want to make the sale and we want to help them, but it's not helping them. So I should do the reverse of what most people do. Lean back and say, yeah, maybe you shouldn't fix this. Is this even impacting you? Well,
Yeah.
it hurts sometimes here and there. It doesn't sound that serious though. Like why look into a chiropractor if it doesn't happen often?
Yeah, because it's like they feel that if they're not in a hospital bed hooked up with all kind of machines and they're able to get through their day and make their money, it's
Yeah.
not impacting them. So I guess there is still a little question in there. How do I pull that out? Is it impacting them or isn't it impacting them? So you know what I'm talking about? They're able to get up, they limp to the shower, they get in the car, they limp out, they
But
get
you
to
have
8 hours.
to, a lot of these behaviors, they're automatic in their mind. Like they're limping because they're not maybe even thinking about it. But if you ask them and it comes in their mouth and they're telling themselves that problem, and then you ask them, how often has this been happening? For 3 months. And you ask them, oh boy, like you've been limping to the shower for 3 months.
Mhm.
Is that impacting your day to day? It sounds like it is.
And then they get exhausted by the end of the day. So you have to pull that out. Well, how
Yeah.
tired are you by the end of the day now? Because they're exhausted.
That's where I have to probe and clarify and find
Yeah.
problems.
So I just go home and sleep for 12 hours. What was that? You know, so you just got to keep probing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And again, don't be afraid to, push them away. Like we want people to defend their problems, and when we push them away, if they're serious enough, they will come back. Well, treat me. I came here to. Well, how can I treat you if you're telling me that it hurts here and there and it's not impacting you at all? You're muted. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, just push them away.
Yeah,
A
push
little
them
bit.
away lightly, right? I'm not gonna kick them out of the office, but I'm concerned. Like, why are we here if you feel that you're not in pain?
Yeah. I get a lot of minimums, a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's, mostly for my deals, $21. That's why people are saying, oh, maybe that's too low, but I like it. I think it gets them in, but maybe it is too low. $21.
That will come down to testing, right? Like test $71. Test like that's a price test. And yeah, maybe it is too little and people don't see the value. And if you charge 51, 31, 41.
You'll get more people committed. I don't know.
Yeah. That comes down to testing. Like the market has to tell us.
Yeah. But I just like it because I beat everybody, but I don't know if that's, beat me in the ass. Maybe I'll get everybody.
Yeah.
Get all kind of people.
Yeah.
Say, yeah.
At least if they pay for it, it's a good guardrail on the front end. At least that they pay for it and it's not free, right?
But I like the Hell Discovery. Let's get this $50 problem up to give me my 500 or 1,000 I want. I think I could get them up there.
You have to help them explore though. Like they have to tell themselves the problem. Like you
Right,
can't.
so maybe I can get these people think there's only a $50 problem, maybe $500 problem. That's what
Yep.
I don't mind sitting in there.
Yep.
I just gotta get better at it. That's all.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Who's next?
No questions for me, but it was good revisiting basically the chunking. Is it like we'd say chunking down? Basically like amping up the temperature of like some of these other smaller questions about the problems. Yeah, I liked that. That was good. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and when we're talking about, it's hard to teach that in a generic setting because that's offer specific health discovery. But for example, for fitness, like I can ask things like, well, how are you, how can you ensure you're losing weight without eating only green stuff and steak all day? Like that creates a knowledge gap, right? Because essentially what I'm communicating to them is that they have only one way to lose weight, and that's by forgetting forever their favorite food, for example, right? Or another knowledge gap is, well, I know how to, lose weight. It's if I go to the gym 6 times a day. You know, a knowledge gap is, well, what if we showed you to lose weight in a way that doesn't require you to spend, you know, 10
Could I-
hours, 10 hours a week in the gym?
Could I ask questions to maybe, I'm wondering if it might sound a little like, I don't know, but maybe I could say things like, do you know how to adjust your caloric intake as you lose weight? Because that is going to change over time. Or are you aware of how that's going to be impacting how you're going to be burning fat? No? Are
Is
you
where
aware of your NEAT score? No? Okay. Are you aware of like your BAP? Are you no? Okay. So then like asking just question like rapid fire, just sort of like as though it's like a survey.
you would during Heaven
Okay.
Discovery, if they say, oh, I can do it on my, oh, there's delay.
If they
In
say,
Heaven Discovery.
There's a little bit of a delay.
I have to leave and come back in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but just to give everyone context, essentially what we're
I can't hear
talking
you.
about.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Sir, you sound like a chipmunk. I don't know why my computer does this with my Zoom. For some reason, it cuts out, so now it's choppy. I have to leave and I have to come back in.
Yeah,
So
cool. Sounds good. Just to give everyone context, this is in situations where people feel they can do it on their own or with their current solution. Oh, I can fix this on my own. I don't need something like this. So we can build knowledge gaps to show them that they really don't have what it takes. Ryan, are you with me? I can't hear you. And it's essentially asking questions that they wouldn't have in their solution or in what they're currently doing.
testing
Like,
test.
I can hear you now, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially it would happen during Heaven Discovery if they say something like, oh, I can do this on my own, or I'm doing it with my current coach. So you can say something like, oh, and I'm sure that your current coach, as you're losing weight, he has a way of readjusting your calories so you don't get fat again, right? Or so you don't start getting weight back up, right? Or
Yeah.
so your current coach has you on those feeder days, so your metabolism doesn't stop and you can't lose weight thereafter because your metabolism freezes. I would assume you know how to do that, right? Oh, no.
Okay.
So
So if
these
they're
are,
kind of like putting up walls earlier on, then I can sort of like ping those things in the Heaven Discovery to like try to pry them open a little bit more and then go back and then sort of cycle back to Hell Discovery, dive in a little bit deeper, come back through.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that.
You can ask, how would you rate your ability to have a diet plan, proper diet plan, without necessarily weighing everything from 1 to 10? 3. Oh, okay. So it sounds like if we showed you, or if there was a way for you to have a meal plan without weighing everything, would that help you? Oh, yeah. Because now I created a gap based on my question.
Okay, that helps. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
I gotta jump off. I gotta restart my computer because it keeps on doing these Zoom
Cool.
weird things. Cool. Thanks a lot, Chris.
All right. See you soon. Anything else, gents, before we go?
no, we appreciate your help today.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Quick last question, if I may.
Go for it.
How to keep being mindful in your day-to-day work? Because as you can understand, with all the things that you're expected to do, you may kind of end up working in the autopilot, let's say. So how do you avoid to do that?
You have to track your time, right? Like, be mindful. Take your iPhone, not your iPhone, take your phone and put reminders every hour or every half an hour. And have it ding every 30 minutes. Every time it dings, right, you have to write down in these 30 minutes that passed, what did I do these 30
You did.
minutes?
Cool. I'm gonna try that. Thanks.
Because that will give you an idea. Oh, okay, I spent 1 hour today just scrolling through memes. I spent 1 hour, okay, training myself. I spent, 1 hour prospecting. The best part of it is you'll become much more productive because every time it dings, you're gonna feel guilty that you didn't maximize your time. So you're gonna be twice as productive.
Cool. Super helpful. Thanks.
Cool, absolutely. Awesome. If we don't have anything else, it was good to see everyone. We have a workshop coming up, just so everyone's aware, 14th to 16th. Stealth DMs covers how to close big ticket sales without sales calls. And we talk about outreach through DMs, how to approach people, and book calls on your calendar. If that's of interest, ping me. I send emails about it. Join us. Otherwise, I'll see you next Sunday. Have a good
Have
one.
a good one.